Hi, guys. Welcome back to another episode of the Take Control of Your Life podcast. Now, the last two episodes, we've had those in the queue for a while, but this is a all new episode being recorded in July. And I want to break down the 4 levels of competency. So, to start, let's go over the definition of competency. Competency is the ability to do something successfully or efficiently. And now let's break down the 4 levels of competency. And let's break it down in a way of coaches and a way for the athletes. So the 4 levels of competency are unconscious incompetence, conscious incompetence, conscious competence, and unconscious incompetence. And so let's start from the beginning. Unconscious incompetence is we do not know what we are looking for. Now, when that comes to an athlete, that's why you reach out to a coach. We're struggling. We're not really sure what we should be doing. We're unaware of what we should be eating or how we should be moving correctly, or we picked up a program online. But unconscious incompetence is a scary spot, especially when you have a coach who is in that category. Now, the unconscious incompetence would be a coach who just doesn't quite know what they're doing. And I think CrossFit does a great job of making sure that doesn't happen as far as making people get their level 1 before they open their affiliate. It's supposed to be a level 2 starting sometime this year. But that's a great starting point as far as CrossFit goes. Now we go to conscious incompetence. Conscious incompetence. That is, we are aware we don't know something, but we are not quite sure where we should be looking. And that's why you reach out to us. We take out all the guesswork. You come into a class, it's coach-led. We have the warm-up, the cool-down, the intended stimulus, the specific teaching. You get feedback on that class. So what you don't know, you found the spot to get that. That's from the coaching side. As far as the coaching side goes, conscious incompetence is not quite knowing where to look when it comes to coaching movement patterns. So there's different types of seeing drills that we can do as coaches, static versus dynamic, being able to watch a large crowd versus an individual athlete, and working on those things and being competent at them takes time. And so I'll give you a great example of a coach who just doesn't quite have the coach's eye. If you ever have a coach who yells, "That's good," they probably weren't looking for something. Now, if the standard of the movement is to get the bar from, let's use a clean as an example, get the bar from the ground to our shoulders in one motion. Well, then that was good if you move the bar. But what happened in that dynamic piece? Did the athlete's knees cave when they received the bar? Did the athlete's elbows drop? Did they receive it in a front rack position? Were they rounding at the back because the hips were forward? All of those things come into play. And so as a coach, we need to be looking for something. And as you move up in your level of coaching, you can learn how to see more things at once. But start with one. Let's watch the knees and see, do they cave, yes or no? And this is where feedback comes into play. So if they did not cave, we can say, good job pushing your knees out. And if they did cave, we can give them feedback and say, hey, push your knees out on the next rep. That's the type of coach that you're looking for, is someone who can give you good and bad feedback. Good and constructive feedback. From there, we have conscious competence, which falls into play of what I just talked about. Conscious competence is that coach who they might have their timeline written out and they know what they're going to be looking for when it comes to these movements. And so they are consciously telling themselves, I need to watch their knees on this rep and give them feedback. I need to watch their receiving position and see, did they get their elbows up on this rep? So they might be looking for 1, maybe 2 things, but they're giving you feedback. As far as an athlete goes, it's someone who's been around for a while. They understand the movements. They're aware of what they should be doing, but their body might not be aware, and that's where the coach comes into play. They can really help them out. As far as I've been doing CrossFit for 10 years, I still take our group classes because I still need that feedback. Sometimes we feel like we're doing something, but our body might not be doing that thing that we thought we were doing. And so conscious competence coaches, that's the level you want to find. Conscious competence or unconscious competence is the level of coach that you want to find if you are looking for a coach, which leads me into unconscious competence. This is virtuosity at its finest. This is that coach that can watch you move and they can give you multiple cues, multiple feedback within one rep, or that coach who can scan a room during the dynamic piece and give 3 to 4 athletes feedback. Now that takes time. That takes years of practice and years of working in your craft. For myself, before I took my level 2, I had 4,000 hours of coaching hours. That was with onboardings where I worked one-on-one with individuals, and that was in the group process. And then before my level 3, I had my 10,000 hours of coaching in for CrossFit. And before I did CrossFit, I was a jiu-jitsu coach. And so as far as teaching movement patterns and being able to see subtle changes, that's something I've worked on more than half of my life, which is why you see this in the classes that I coach. I give very subtle cues that make a large impact on the athlete. And what's nice is our team is being led by that level 3 standard. And so what took me 10 years, a decade to accumulate as far as knowledge, I pass it down to my coaches immediately. We do it in our monthly staff meetings. We go over all sorts of things: mindset, teaching patterns, seeing drills, correcting drills, how to write our timelines, which is why even though they may hold a level 1, they are superior coaches. And that's what you get at CrossFit Control. And that's what you should want, is a coach who can give you feedback on every single rep, whether it's constructive feedback or positive feedback. What did we do well? Tell them what they did well. Or where can we fix? What can we fix? That's what I have to say on the 4 levels of competency. And those 4 levels apply not just to coaching, not just to athletes, but everywhere in life. So if you have any questions, you can feel free to reach out to me, Devin, Devan, at CrossFitCTRL.com. Until the next episode.